November 3rd, the City of Moore has two propositions on the ballot. Proposition number one is to renew the quarter-cent sales tax. This will be the third time that this sales tax will be up for renewal. It was originally passed in 2012, was renewed in 2016, and in 2016 it was split for two functions. One for parks and recreation facilities, and then the second is the new fire station number 2 that's over at Fairmore Park. So that's was opened this past summer. The biggest parks project with this sales tax has been the slide in the aquatic center. And so for the renewal that's up in November, 3 weeks from now, is split between parks facilities, mainly to expand the station and to expand the public works facility. So we expect this tax to raise $9.1 million over the next 4 years. The station facility would be $4.9 million, and the public works facility would be $4.2 million. And so this is a renewal of the tax. It's not an increase. Our sales tax rate is still the lowest in the metro area, lower than Norman, Oklahoma City, Midwest City, Yukon, and Del City. So, and it's a dedicated tax, but it's not a permanent tax. And so we like to go in 4-year cycles in these taxes, because what that does is that gives us the ability to come back to the voters and say, these are the projects that we think are most important on a going forward basis. And so, we'd like your support on these. And so dedicated sales taxes are good because it can only be spent for certain projects. And the fact that it's not a permanent tax is good is because it gives us a chance to come back to the voters and with an updated list of projects. Because I know one of the big criticisms of government is that we always seem to be asking for more. Well, in this particular instance, we're not asking for more, we're asking for the exact same thing, but we just want to be able to reallocate it. And so that way, work on current projects that are needed, as opposed to have maybe some significant sums of money in the bank in a dedicated fund that we can't use because we don't have a project to match that by our ordinance as passed by the voters. So again, it's just a renewal. It's not an increase. It's just a reallocation of what we already have. The station opened in 2016, and while we felt it would be successful, but it's exceeded those expectations. There's a great demand for programming, and so in order to provide this additional programming, we just need more space. We have over 3,000 pass holders, and in 2020, we've offered 51 programs. We've had almost 1,000 attendees, and this is in the COVID year when a lot of things, when activity has been declined. We have lots of demands for additional programming and more of it, and so again, in order for that to happen, we just need more space. So the plan for this facility is upstairs where the gym is, you have the 2 workout rooms on either side for the exercise classes. Those would move down here into the meeting rooms. The gym would expand into those rooms. And then we would expand over on the north side. We'd build another room which would be the same size as a gym, but it would function as our programming rooms. So we'd have the ability to split it up into 4 different rooms if we needed to, or to hold larger events in there, but it would take care of the programming requests that we've had and allow us to be able to offer more and have more people come in that wanted to. We'd build 2 new meeting rooms. And I mean, there's a potential phase 2 to this project if the demand warrants it in the future. So we did the architectural plans so we could gain efficiencies if we needed to do that in future years. But for right now, we're just looking at phase 1. The public works facility needs to be updated. The city has grown a lot in the last 20 years, and while the public works facility, back in the day probably functioned just fine, the fact of the matter is now, because of the increase in the population and the demands for city services, we just need to improve the facility. We need to reconfigure it so you have more traffic flow efficiencies. We need to, the roads there are all gravel, and so we need to install concrete, about 125,000 square feet of concrete. So I mean, it's a lot of work there. And then Some of the maintenance buildings really have outlived their usefulness, and so we need to demolish those and then build some new maintenance buildings. We also have a phase 2 plan for the Public Works facility, which we hope to be able to get to in a few years, but what's on the ballot right now is what's most important and really key to helping us maintain the city. Proposition number 2 is the hotel motel tax. Now, the hotel motel tax was initially passed in 1985, and this is not an increase. It's 5% tax, and the residents of Moore do not pay this tax. It's people that come from out of town and stay in our hotels that pay this. And so the language, the hotel motel tax is used to acquire land and construct parks. Well, the natural extension of this is, okay, if you've built it, you get to replace things and maintain it. However, the literal language that was passed says it's to acquire land for acquisition of land and construction of parks. It doesn't say anything about maintenance. Well, I mean, even though we can make an argument that, well, obviously it means maintenance, the fact of the matter is the language doesn't say that, and so we felt it was best to come back to the voters and say, what do you think? And so all we're asking for you to do on the hotel motel tax is to amend the language so it includes maintenance. The playground just across the street there to the north. We can put that in as construction of a new park, but when it gets old and worn down and needs to be replaced, we can't use the same hotel motel tax to replace that. So really, in effect, that's all we're asking to be able to do, to help maintain our parks and keep them looking nice, because we have a great park system here in the city of Moore. And Sue came from Oklahoma City, and she just raves about how great our park system is compared to others in the metro area. So we want to keep it that way. For those of you watching on Channel 20, I hope that you've gotten some good information tonight. Please go to our website, www.cityofmoore.com. There's a couple of videos that give some further explanation as to what these projects are for and what they'll do. And please call City Hall. 793-5200 is my phone number if I can answer any questions, or come down to the station and visit with the park staff, and they can tell you about the plans for the station. Appreciate your time tonight. Thank you.